You know, it wasn't too long ago that I first sat down with Vince McMahon to talk about his life and times. It all started, as longtime listeners of The Lapsed Fan would know, some 8 years ago, back when Hulk Hogan got a surprise visitor. Okay, so we're waiting outside of Hulk Hogan's house in Tampa, Florida. We're waiting for him to come out of the mailbox per his usual routine. And okay, there he is. There he is. There's go. Okay, go. We gotta go. There we go. Excuse me, Mr. Balea. Hi. My name is Nasal Gas from This American Work. It's a public radio program. I have to, sir. I need a second. I need a second. Brother. Sir, listen. I have tapes. Sir, I have tapes. I have tapes. Sir, should we leave? No. All right. Sir, listen. Could you come out here, please? I just need a moment of your time, and then I won't bother you anymore.
You got a gun?
Yes. But come here. I'm not going to shoot. I know you're afraid of people shooting. I won't shoot.
I got my heat, brother. I'm not here to...
Sir, my name is Nasal Gas. I'm a host at the radio program called This American Work. The reason I'm visiting you today is because we've recently been in receipt of a box worth of at least 20 years.
No, dude. No, man. You would think you have us, man, but you got nothing, dude. Those aren't real tapes, man. I know who recorded those things. No.
Sir, if you could just let me finish. I have an offer, a proposition. Okay, these tapes, as far as I can tell, contain highly confidential discussions between you and WWE Chairman Vince McMahon. And now these recordings beg for context. We are prepared to go on the air with these recordings. We think they tell a fascinating story about the history of the sports entertainment business.
I got nothing to do with that, brother.
Here's my proposal for you. If you take it, we'll talk further. If you won't take it, I'll leave, and you won't hear from me again until these tapes make air. I want to sit you, and I want to sit down Mr. McMahon, and I want to have conversations about what these tapes contain so that we can ensure we have the proper context about these moments and seminal moments in wrestling history. Will you be willing to at least help influence the narrative that we're going to pass along through these tapes by talking to us about what they contain?
Well, you know something, Nasal Gas. How much are you willing to pay us, dude?
We'll talk about that. Are you interested is my question.
Yeah.
We've been hard at work ever since, gathering string, organizing timelines, building evidence boards, combing through tape, waiting for the right moment to have the conversation, however long it might take. And for Vince McMahon, as he faces his denouement, that moment, that right moment, is now. We checked in with him through the years, like when a memo he wrote to announcers on the words they should use leaked, or when Titus O'Neil grabbed his arm suddenly on Raw in 2016 and got reprimanded for it. And there was a comment in that conversation that I've been thinking about ever since he made it. One I thought about the second I heard Vince McMahon was abruptly retiring from WWE after the Wall Street Journal reported that he'd paid out millions of dollars in hush money to women he had power over and sexual relations with.
I'm keeping my eye on that bastard. Because I know what he's up to. I know the secrets that he is trying to possess. It's not going to happen. I own my own secrets, not him.
At the time, I thought the secrets had something to do with, steroids, other threats Vince has already faced down over the course of his remarkable life. What else could Vince be afraid of authorities finding out about? But now, as the feds, according to a WWE securities filing, are investigating the nature of the payments Vince McMahon made to women, I'm left to think maybe, just maybe, it was something else he feared. And then, days after the first Wall Street Journal story ran, Vince called me. He told me he was finally ready to talk. He wouldn't tell me if he was ready to divulge all of his secrets, but I got the sense he was. He did say this. I wrote it down. If the hero perishes by his passion, This is precisely the sharpest spice. Let the work commence. From WTLF and the Lapsed Entertainment Group, it's This American Work, one McMahon's story, told week by week. I'm Nasal Gas. Act 1. The Truth in His Lies. Vince, welcome to This American Work.
Thank you.
I guess the first question is, why did you finally decide now was the right time? All these years after we first came together on, the contents of the wiretap recordings that we came into possession of. Why now?
Why what?
Why are you saying that now is the time to sit down and finally tell your story in totality?
Well, isn't that what everyone else is doing these days? You retire from your business and so you start a podcast.
It's really that simple.
Should it not be?
There's really nothing else that you might point to that might prompt you to have, I don't know, this kind of free time on your hands?
I mean, are you trying to prompt me? Is that what you're saying? Because I'm willing to answer questions, but you're simply wanting me to tell you a story like you're a fucking sleepy child.
What took you so long? I mean, I'd get a sudden call from you over the years for these like one-off conversations. But then I see you're doing StarCast with the Lapsed Fan. You're doing book deals and Netflix deals, whatever
the what now? What fan? What fans are these? I don't know what fans you're talking about.
I mean, why haven't I heard from you all these years? I guess is my question. I'm hurt.
Well, I've been busy with a football league. If you hadn't noticed, I did have the XFL that was taking up quite a bit of time, and quite frankly, and that notwithstanding, I just, forgive me for being blunt, but I forgot about you.
Can we trust that you'll tell us the truth as we embark on this journey?
Oh, I believe that I've said this on many occasions. I think I've said it to you, to your face, that there are many truths, and I can guarantee you this. There's that word again. I can guarantee you will get at least one of the truths.
Now, you stepped aside as CEO of the WWE in June. There was a report in the Wall Street Journal that you had agreed to pay a secret $3 million settlement to a former employee with whom you allegedly had a sexual affair. That was the first sort of shoe to drop in this story.
It's not alleged. It happened.
So you're confirming here, This American Work, that it happened. Now, when you say it, you mean?
Sex. I have had many sexual encounters over the course of my career, my lifetime. I can tell you that what I engaged in was most assuredly sexual intercourse.
See, I don't really think that's the nature of the dispute, Vince. I think the question more is the paralegal, for instance. The first Wall Street Journal report spoke
everything that I did was legal. There was nothing illegal about it.
No, I meant paralegal was the person that worked for you was a paralegal that you allegedly had a relationship with. Paralegal
Yes. I've had, several of the lower tiered legal associates, if you will, have definitely come to my office after hours, if you will.
And you don't see a problem with that, just from an imbalance of power dynamic. The Me Too movement has really taught us that, it's very hard for a woman in that position, even if you detect she may be interested, to say no at a certain point because of the power you hold over her and her ability to earn money.
Well, what about the power they hold over me?
Excuse me?
What about the power they hold over me?
What power would that?
I am a susceptible, male individual who enjoys the female form in all of its glory. And I believe that, if you are willing to part with your attire in order to show off said physique, I will pounce like a rabid animal.
Yeah, I think that's, well, the original Journal report that spoke just to the $3.5 million payment to the paralegal did mention.
Is that all they reported? It was only 3.5. All right, we'll keep it at that, 3.5.
Well, there's more to come, but this is the first bit of reporting on it, the first sort of story to break here. Yes. That affair with the paralegal was indeed consensual. However, there was subsequent reporting by the Journal that said you agreed to pay more than $12 million in hush money over the previous 16 years at WWE to suppress allegations of sexual misconduct and infidelity, and that, in fact, in one case in 2018, you agreed to pay $7.5 million to a woman that the Journal said at least you had coerced into performing oral sex. Coerced. Not an instance of consensual relations. I have to ask you if you quibble with that characterization. It sounds very damning.
Are you asking if I have forced myself upon individuals against their will?
I'm afraid to say yes, but yes, that's the question I'm asking.
I see. Well, it's a very loaded question, if I may ask. It's a fully loaded question, and I can say this with the utmost certainty that under my my leadership of the WWE, that there is only so much that I can do before people have to take responsibility for their own actions, and I like to think that I will come out and be honest, that I put my cards on the table 110% of the time, and I expect other people to do the exact same. So coercion, I mean, coercion is a word that honestly I think has two different sides to it. They're saying they were coerced. Maybe I was coerced. These are things that you honestly, excuse me, I'm not finished. All right. I'm not finished. You give me the damn fucking respect that I deserve. Because I'm the goddamn boss.
You not being finished was the problem in the Rita Chatterton case, was it not?
Who?
So this says you coerced this woman into performing oral sex. You coerced, not that she coerced you. How do you respond? Is it true?
I don't know if I can comment at this time.
Oh, for God's sakes. We're going to sit down.
You want truth. I'm trying to give you truth. I'm trying to give you the honest answer. And to be quite frank, and I think I have been frank, I don't know which person you're referring to.
I was going to ask you, who are the women? Can you name any of the ones that these reports indicate you had relations with, consensual or allegedly non-consensual?
Well, I mean, I'll put it this way. I have had relations with pretty much everyone you can think of. I have had, and probably a few that you haven't ever heard of, or thought of, or imagined in your wildest dreams. I can say purely and respectfully, I have had a lot of sex with a lot of different partners. And I wouldn't change it for anything in the world.
See, the question is not if you've had a lot of sex or if you've had a lot of sexual partners, but do you know which women these reports are referring to that resulted in you paying millions of dollars?
Well, do you know who they are?
No, I would like you to tell me since you signed the agreements to pay them millions of dollars.
I mean, but I don't know who they are. Do you know how many agreements I've signed? Do you know how many different...
How many? Go ahead. Tell me how many.
I can't count that high. It is standard practice within the WWE and with any corporation that the person, the chairman and the CEO of said company is required to not be tattled on for their sexual endeavors.
I'm at a loss. I really okay. So you're saying you've paid so many women subsequent to having sex.
Give me the name. What's the name of one of the fucking women? I'll tell you exactly who it is. I won't deny it.
I am not going to put women's name out there Okay, just this is not Twitter. Okay, we're not speculating. We're not pulling up Wikipedia lists of women released in a particular year. You're the one that did the deed. You're the one that signed the agreements. You have to know when you read these reports, Vince, which women these reports are referring to. And if there's more, that's fine, but you have to know which ones these are referring to.
I don't know. I mean, I guess that there is I can be told who they are. I don't know off the top of my head. No, I do not. If you want to get one of my people in here who can tell, I can tell you that Johnny Ace can tell me exactly who it is, or Pat Patterson or Linda can tell me exactly who it is.
How can Linda tell you who it is?
I mean, why? She knows what I do. She's aware of these things.
Really? See, I think there's a perception that she's been sort of heartbroken by these reports, but at the same time, that's so funny.
I don't think Linda's ever been heartbroken in her entire life. That's just my personal speculation. I don't know the woman that well, but it could be said that she is heartbroken, I suppose, if you're a certain individual of a certain kind.
So is LM, Linda McMahon, is she still your wife?
Yes. I mean, we certainly have we share the bonds of marriage. We certainly share that legal title. In terms of, are you asking if we commit in the mental and emotional act of intercourse? No, we do not. At least not that she knows of. And when that happens, she is aware of the things. She approves of my lifestyle and my desires, but she does not approve to tackle the issues herself. She instead enlists the services of another individual to satisfy me in the ways that I must be satisfied as a human being, as a man, as a gentleman of the entertainment establishment.
Who's this individual you're referring to?
Any number of individuals.
Oh, you said there's an individual she employs to make sure you're satisfied, or whatever the hell you said.
It could be anybody. I mean, they're not just one individual. There's a number of.
Are you talking about madams? Madams?
No. I don't. That's. I don't. And actually, I must say, I must take issue with what you just implied. I am not someone who needs to pay for sex.
And why did you?
Oh, I see what you did there. See, no, I didn't. The sex was free. The silence is what costs.
I see. Why is the silence so important if Linda's fine with it and knows about it?
Well, it's really, the thing is, it's really the protection for the women. Do the women really want to have the reputation of being the sexual partners of a corporate entity like Vince McMahon?
So you're saying these women sign agreements to never talk about their affair with you to protect themselves?
Of course. They have families, they have...
Couldn't they just protect themselves by never talking about it?
But you know what? But here's the thing. See, I'm thinking for them. I'm actually taking the step beyond, and I'm saying, look, I don't want you to feel the shame of having intercourse with me. I don't want you to feel the shame of having given into your fantasies of screwing your boss. Everybody in the world has fantasies of screwing their boss.
Not sure about everybody, but okay.
I am all about, engaging in these fantasies to help satisfy that and kind of help them move on with their lives.
Isn't that the problem right there in some ways, Vince? Is that
what? I'm a giver.
Now that you think that's a fantasy, like every creepy boss that's ever crossed the line told themselves that it's the woman's fantasy, but it's not. It's just a situation they can't say no to.
Listen. I understand where you're coming from. I get what you're saying, but here's the difference. The difference is oftentimes they come to me with their fantasies. Sometimes I have to dig a little bit about it. I do have I've studied quite a bit of psychology, and I understand these things, and they have a need. They have a need and a desire, and I'm willing to fulfill that, but I also want to protect these individuals. So I'm doing it because I am a protector. Everybody who works for me is family, and I insist on protecting my family.
So you're saying it's in every instance, it's incest.
I mean, if that's where your mind goes and you're a sick individual like you, then that's the way your mind goes. I think of it as being a generous individual and helping others when it comes to satisfying their own carnal needs and then protecting them by making them sign a document that prevents them from talking about it with others and therefore perhaps ruining their lives.
Are you living with Linda or in a separate condominium in Stamford with wall colors the same as your office at Titan Towers?
Well, Linda and I have certainly shared an abundance of
I think that was a yes or no question.
I believe I'm giving you a yes or no answer. But you're not interested. Fine. Fuck it. I'm not going to talk about it. You just lost that one, pal.
Are you still living with Linda? We're just going to give each other the silent treatment now, like a couple of...
You have had the opportunity. You have had the opportunity to have that question answered. You chose to interrupt me, so I do not need to answer that question anymore. You destroyed that opportunity on your own, pal. Some fucking journalist you are.
So going forward, I can't interrupt you. That's the rule.
I didn't say that. I said you were telling me that I was giving you the wrong answer. That's what you said. You said this is a yes or no question, and I'm saying I'm giving you a yes or no answer, and you're not fucking listening to me.
Are you living with Linda still?
Question's over. Next question.
Say questions? Oh, sorry. Did I interrupt you again?
I don't mind you interrupting me. I understand we are passionate individuals, but the bottom line is I was giving you an answer, and the answer wasn't what you wanted. I gave you a yes or no answer, but you weren't willing to listen to it and allow me to explain it. So fuck you. Your fucking life and your fucking journalism.
If I say I'm sorry, will you give me the answer?
I don't know.
I'm very sorry for interrupting you.
Let's circle back.
Okay. All right, that's fair enough. There was also reports in the Journal that John Laurinaitis had a sexual relationship with the same paralegal you did. What was the dynamic there? Did you know about it? Did you suggest that she engage with Johnny in that respect? I don't want to. There's been a lot of kind of crude interpretations, like there was some arrangement between you and Johnny to both have your turn with this woman, which I don't know. That sort of takes the agency of the woman out of it quite a bit. I mean, did she choose to be with both of you? Or is she the only one that both of you had a relationship with?
Well, when it comes to Johnny, I have never been one, here's the thing about Johnny Ace, all right? He's a sick individual. He's a very sick individual. He believes in things that nobody else believes in. And if we shared an individual, it was not because of my doing. It's because, to be quite frank, Johnny Ace is a fan. And I know this is kind of hard to believe, but he is a fan of sloppy seconds.
How exactly is one a fan of sloppy seconds? They actually.
That's when Johnny Ace retires, you can have a podcast with him.
You think so? Think he'll talk?
I don't know. I'm not Johnny Ace.
16 years of infidelity and sexual misconduct, according to the Wall Street Journal. $12 million in hush money paid. Yes. Questions if there was coercion in any of those relationships. We've already touched on it, but I want to nail it down. Did you ever coerce a woman into having sex with you?
I've never needed to coerce a woman to have sex with me.
I didn't ask if you needed to. I asked if you ever did.
Have I ever? I have not coerced anybody to my knowledge. As far as I'm concerned, I have not coerced. I have never said, hey, little lady, why don't you come into daddy's office and take a pounding on the desk? I have never said that.
Oh, sounded rather practiced, and I'm surprised to hear that was the first time you.
Well, I am a naturally gifted performer. I do have to perform on TV every now and again, so I have done my due diligence when it comes to improvisation and other sort of izations.
Are you still living with Linda?
From time to time, yes, when neither of us are on the road.
Well, yeah, of course, with the exception of when you're not in the same city. But when you come home, do you live with her? Do you spend your time with her?
We do.
Apart?
We do share an address.
I understand that. I mean, I'm not talking about what the clerk's office indicates. Okay, in Greenwich, I'm talking about. Do you sleep in the same bed at night?
At times, from time to time, we do share at a mattress. That does happen.
Share a mattress. I don't think that's what I meant by share the same bed, but...
Are you asking if I'm having sexual relations with my wife?
Well, no, but yes, maybe that'll get us closer to what I'm trying to discern here.
I don't have, there have been times when I've had sexual relations with Linda. At current time, I am not seeking out that particular individual for my carnal sexual needs. No.
Are you on Tinder?
I don't know what that is.
Are you on Grindr?
I have a meat grinder at home when I make, hamburgers.
Do you think that's what I meant when I asked if you're on Grindr?
I don't know. I don't know what Grindr
is. Are
is.
you on any dating apps on your phone where they show you potential mates and you swipe left or right or whatever it is based on whether you're interested in further conversation with those people?
The only thing I swipe is my hand across the face of one of my employees when they deserve it.
It's interesting you say your employees. You're retired. Do you still have trouble finding yourself not referring to your position in the present tense?
I would, I have no problem referring to myself in the present tense.
Okay. Are you really gone? Did you really leave WWE? I mean, honestly, do you really, are you hands off in every respect or?
Well, I am, I'll put it this way. I'm as hands off as I need to be.
I'd heard a report that, Triple H has started to wear Bose earbuds at Gorilla, and no one really knows who's in his ear. He doesn't seem to be talking back to anybody, but he also doesn't seem to be listening to anything because he can be very aware and cognizant of what's happening. There's no chance that's you on the phone, is it?
Well, I don't have earbuds, so I don't know.
But he does, and you could call his earbuds, is my point, and tell him what to do and what to say.
Well, yes. All right. Do you want to know the dead answer? Yes, I have had calls with Paul. He's a former son of mine, and he is we've had discussions about the creative direction of the company. He has sought my advice, and on occasion, and I have occasionally I'm willing to give it to him.
So you say a former son of yours, son-in-law. Who would be your? I don't understand. You're talking about Shane being your current son?
No, I don't have. I've never. What? Who's Shane?
Is that a real question?
You tell me. I don't know who Shane is.
Who's your son then? You said son, your current son. Then who is?
Nick.
Nick? Who's Nick?
Nick Khan. Nick
co-CEO with your daughter Stephanie.
Nick McMahon.
Co-CEO with your daughter Stephanie.
Correct.
Where do you come down in that power imbalance? There's a perception that there's a Nick Khan faction on the board and a Stephanie faction on the board.
Yes, and I lead both factions.
Excuse me? How's that?
Hazel, do you really think I'm going to let my company be in the hands of two children? Two children of mine? Absolutely not. I've said it before and I'll say it again. When I die, I press the button and it's all over.
I think I know what you're referring to. You had said on an appearance at StarCast 2, when asked what the future of the company was if you were to pass away, that it wouldn't be Stephanie or Triple H taking the helm as so many expected. Though ironically, it seems to be exactly where we ended up. There's the Nick Khan factor, of course, as talked about, but you made what I assume to be a tongue-in-cheek comment, right, about blowing up Titan Towers from your deathbed by pressing a button.
Yes. Yes, that's what it was, a tongue-in-cheek. Let me tell you something, nasal gas. I will blow up my company when the time is right. I will destroy it. I will destroy anybody who's in it. And I may destroy you along the way. Because that is exactly what's going to happen. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, runs the WWE except for me.
Was that a threat right there to yours truly, Vince?
I did not threat. I do not threat. I can tell you honestly that I have never threatened anybody in my entire life.
It did cross my mind, speaking of that comment you had made about letting it all burn down.
Yes.
That a lot of these allegations, a lot of these multi-million-dollar hush payments, a lot of, not properly recording them as company expenses, or at least federal authorities are looking into whether that happened, that might fit the pattern of somebody who's looking to bring the company down with him, to leave behind him a smoldering pile of scandal that his successor could never possibly find or navigate their way out from. Is that a scenario you considered when signing these deals, that it would hamstring the company and maybe even one day bring scandal? I wouldn't put anything past you in terms of, doing something with a certain degree of premeditation like that.
I mean, nor should you. I premeditate everything. Everything is premeditated. It may sound like that I do things off the cuff. It may sound like I do things that are maybe irrational.
Rash, without you can't control yourself.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
right.
No. I control myself with every bit. WrestleMania this past year, I was involved in a match, and I was given a stunner by Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it looked like I couldn't sell the stunner, that I was too old to kind of go with it and understand where, like, I was too out of touch with my body. Premeditated. Give the illusion of things. Give the illusion to please certain individuals, make them say, hey, you know what? The guy's an old man. The guy doesn't have it anymore. Do you understand that with me being out of the office, I can have more power over the decision-making process in the WWE than I ever had before?
I thought you resigned. I thought you retired.
Maybe. Or maybe it was premeditated and determined that from a visual standpoint, from a public relations point of view, that I should step aside. But we all know who pulls the strings in the end. Right,
Payments
pal?
totaling $14.6 million from 2006 to 2022.
Pocket change. I mean, that's just those 16 years.
Why were these payments necessary?
I thought I was clear before. I did it out of protection of my employees. I am their father figure. I am their daddy. They need to know that daddy's in charge. And that daddy will protect them and cradle them in his bosom.
Well, one of the last times we connected, it was shortly after the retirement of Daniel Bryan, a wrestler who used to work for you, who has since returned to the ring, but that's a completely other story. But in the post-celebration, the post-show celebration, which you were a part of, you made your way up the ramp, and Titus O'Neil, who works for you these days as a global ambassador, grabbed you by the arm. And at the time, you talked at length with me about how you were very concerned that might have been an indication that Titus was in fact an FBI agent, and that he was there to obtain you for some sort of a yet undisclosed misdeeds. Now, my mind went to steroids and some of the other, issues around which you've been associated with scandal in the past. Though, to your credit, you came out, having not been found guilty of any charge, but still, it seemed to me from your comments that you felt like prosecutors weren't done with you yet. But I have to say, this sort of fact pattern did not cross my mind until the journal story hit, and I thought to myself, were these the secrets that he may have been afraid Titus was here to apprehend him on, or may have been, conducting surveillance on behalf of the FBI about? Any connection between that last conversation we had and where we stand today?
Let me tell you something, Nasal Gas, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The whole entirety of the secrets that I know and the things that I know could stop a herd of bison in their tracks during a stampede. The whole tonnage that I know, that I keep inside my own head, is beyond anything you've ever realized. Titus is an individual who thinks he's owed something from me. And I am not that type of person who ever owes people things because they think so. If you're owed something, I'll give it to you. But you don't act like you're owed something. You do your job, you go home. And you do not touch the boss. Because I may or may not have you killed.
So the concern then was just him touching you? It wasn't that whole yarn you spun years ago about how you were afraid he was with the FBI, that has no connection to the...
I mean, sure, he could have been maybe it was the FBI. Maybe they're, they are, they're always trying to get me. But again, like I said, they don't.
Were the secrets you're referring to back then these secrets?
There are no secrets. There are only truths.
Was this one of the truths that you felt like he knew about?
No. No, I did not. I don't think that. I don't think he knows. If he knows what I'm into and all the stuff that I've tangled with, that I have premeditated for my existence, then he is a much smarter man than I think he is. But I can guarantee you this, there's that word again, he is not a smarter man.
So I'm standing in the ring on a recent episode of Raw after this story started to hit the media outlets, and he stood in the middle of the ring with the spotlight on him on Monday Night Raw and said, "So that's what we get a chance to do, go all around and spread goodness and goodwill. That's why you'll never hear us talking about politics, religion, or any other subject matter that is divisive, because regardless of your race, economic status, or nationality, this is a place that we deserve to have as a safe haven. This is a place that WWE wants to simply make sure we all have a good time." Divisive things. Could that have been a reference to the firestorm you find yourself in? And
I don't see again, you keep talking about this being a firestorm. I don't see this as a firestorm at all.
I mean, if you stepped down before you intended to, I mean, how can that not define a firestorm in your company? I mean,
I didn't step down.
Excuse me?
I did not step down. Yes, I quote unquote stepped down.
Yes,
I
right.
relinquished the reins to Stephanie McMahon and Nick McMahon can't tie their own shoes without my permission.
Still to this day, as we sit here.
To this day and to beyond.
So when Titus O'Neill's on your television show saying we want to make this a safe haven, people found that rather ironic, considering apparently Titan Towers wasn't a safe haven around you in certain contexts when it came to certain women who worked for the company. I mean, why did you put that man out there and have him say those things?
Because it's a true thing. No one ever got hurt. No one ever got killed. You know, if there are
no one ever got killed.
No one ever got killed.
Are you 100% saying that right here?
I can say, and honest to God, no one has ever died in the presence of Titan Towers. Can you prove me otherwise?
Well, I wasn't so much arguing, what geography, but no one's ever died as a result of your conduct.
I didn't say that. I said nobody has died at Titan Towers, the place where all people work. The place of the ultimate work.
Well, the tapes. We'll get to them as we go here on This American Work, but we heard a little bit of it at the top.
Yes.
The tapes, the surreptitiously recorded, the wiretapped lines, if you will, conversations with you and Hulk Hogan and others over the years, particularly Hulk Hogan. Anything you want to say up front in the beginning of this journey about what we're about to hear as the story unfolds over months and years here, about what those tapes, the broad sweep of what those tapes represent and what you want people to know about them?
Well, I believe that that what you're about to discover may be an entertaining journey into the history of sports entertainment and the entertainment business, and I'm excited to join you on this ride.
You're not nervous at all about what the tapes may contain?
No, I know what they contain. I recorded them.
Now, we're in this situation here.
What situation is that?
You're facing these allegations around sexual misconduct. And it's not like you've never faced these before. There, in fact, were reports that you had an episode at a Florida massage parlor where you had made some unwanted advances toward a masseuse, I believe it was. And
I mean, they're touching my body to begin with.
Yeah, well, that's their job, to be fair.
Yes, it is their job, to be fair.
And because they're touching your body, that allows you to make advances toward them, unwanted advances.
I didn't advance. I just said, hey, can you, I mean, you're touching everything else. Just go ahead and
that's okay.
Touch my cock.
That's okay with you to say that to a woman. You don't feel like that traumatizes her in any way.
I mean, if a woman is traumatized by the phallus of a male, then why are people getting married? I'm certainly not horrified by a woman's vagina or a pair of massive breasts.
Sir, respectfully.
I love breasts. I love massive tits. I like them coming into my face, burying my face between them, burying my face between the legs of a woman. I'm a generous lover. People want to be receiving what I am giving. I get off on how much I give.
Wow. Well, there's certainly more than I bargained for in that. But don't you think that you put women in an uncomfortable position when they know your stature, they know you're important?
Only when I have sex in a car.
Like the limousine with Rita Chatterton?
Well, the thing with Rita was a very, Rita was a very affected individual, and she got herself in over her head.
How's that?
Well, I mean, she was literally on her head in the limousine.
She told Geraldo in 1992, he made me have oral sex, and he started to get really excited, and I pulled away, and he got really angry and said, that's worth $500,000 a year. And when I said no, he said, I better satisfy him. And he pulled off my pants, and he pulled me on top of him, and he satisfied himself through intercourse. Now, she recently spoke again in an article, and she wouldn't get into detail about what happened in the limousine, but she did say that she was highly affected by it and traumatized about it for years, and that she would have the limo driver go into the diner during this particular portion of the interaction and come back out none the wiser. Now, you sued her back then for intentional infliction of emotional distress, I believe. You were saying that she was part of a shakedown operation that involved others that worked for the company and may have been disgruntled in one way or the other. But now looking at these allegations in the context of millions and millions of dollars you paid to get other women to not tell similar stories, I have to say I'm really skeptical, Vince, that you didn't do something very, very awful to this woman in 1992.
I mean,
or whenever it was.
What are you defining as awful? I mean,
what she just described.
There are two. I mean, but listen. Here's the thing. This is what we've been talking about from the very beginning. All right, and I'm going to have to repeat myself. This is going to be a very boring podcast. All right, and here I am. I'm giving you of my time, which you think I have tons of because I'm quote unquote retired.
Right.
I'm a very busy man. I have a lot of things to get done on a daily basis. All right, there are multiple truths. Okay, to every situation. Neither one is wrong. Neither one is right. There are truths. There are desires. There are realities, and a multitude of them. Rita Chatterton is a tragedy. What happened there?
You're saying what happened with her was a tragedy.
I'm saying what happens with her, whatever it was, is a tragedy. Now, that is not my truth. My truth, and in fact, a number of my truths, do not coincide with her truth. And therefore, I cannot take her allegation seriously because what happened in there does not match up with my truth. If it did, I would gladly come out and say, you know what, I forced myself on Rita Chatterton. But according to the truth that I have from that evening, and I have about 6, 7, 8, 9 truths of that evening, none of them coincide with what she talked about.
Why don't you just have your own truth? Why do you have so many? I don't understand this.
As a business owner, you have to have a multitude of truths, a conglomerate of truths. See, you're just one individual. You have your one truth. Live your one little life. You investigate people. You talk about blah, 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 blah. You think you're unveiling a big fucking story. In reality, no one gives a shit. But here I am in control of millions of lives. Millions of lives are in my hands.
You're saying no one gives a shit that you paid $15 million roughly between 2006 and 2022.
I didn't say that nobody gives a shit. I said, I'm simply saying, I don't know why people do give a shit.
You don't know why people give a shit. Well, maybe because it's a classic case of abuse of
these
power.
These people received massive bonuses for my protection of them from career suicide.
No, I'm not going to accept this. What do you mean career suicide?
Listen,
what
they
does
had
that even
sex
mean?
with me. Do you think anyone else is going to employ them if it comes out that these women had sex with me?
Why wouldn't they? What if this is
because I'm a decrepit old man, damn it.
But you weren't at the time on a lot of these allegations.
I've always been a decrepit old man.
Now we're getting to the truth. Talk more.
I have always been a decrepit old man. And I don't want these women to feel embarrassed nor suffer because of me, because of their attraction to me. So we sign these things in a way to protect them. Some people like to brag, hey, you know what? I had sex with Vince McMahon. I don't want that to happen to them. Because if people see that, they cannot get jobs. Because let me tell you something. I'll tell you this. If I find out that one of my employees had sex with Ted Turner, they're out. Out. I don't want to be in the same vicinity. I don't want to be getting a paycheck from the same fucking company with someone who fucked Turner.
I am horrified, thoroughly confused, and incredulous, really, that you think these are valid answers to the fact pattern that faces
I'm
you
not
right
giving.
now.
Listen, I don't seek validation from you. All right, I validate myself.
These women couldn't say no, and you abused that position. What would you say to that?
Listen, these women couldn't say no. That's not my fault that they feel that way about me. Am I supposed to be responsible for everyone's actions, for everyone's desires? I'm sorry that
Will you allow
500
that
women who have been under my employ over my time owning the WWE.
500? Do they all have agreements? Did you pay all of them?
Some don't need them. Some, I believe, should bury themselves.
What could you possibly mean by that?
Well, I mean, we bury people in the business all the time. You know?
Oh, you mean bury in a wrestling sense? Okay.
I'm not going to kill anybody, you fucking idiot.
Really?
What?
Nothing. Anything else you want to say about these allegations? I mean, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby.
I mean,
Steve
you're talking about predators. Those men are predators.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
They are.
Yes.
They're absolutely predators. I agree with you. What they have done is wrong, and I do not condone their actions.
How is what you did different?
Listen, I don't need to get naked in front of people and fucking jerk off in front of women to satisfy my weird, prepubescent existence. Women are naturally attracted to me. They want what I have. They want my generosity when it comes to sexual endeavors, and I comply because I want to give back. And again, here we are repeating ourselves over and over again. Were some paid and forced to sign a non-disclosure agreement? Yes, for their own good, for their own safety, for their own careers, because I care more about them than I care about me.
Is there anything else you want to say at this time? We're out of time for the first installment, Act 1, if you will, of This American Work. Many more chances to talk to come.
No, I'm good, thanks. You've been a wonder. Can't wait to do this again.
So how did we get here? How did Vince McMahon go from a North Carolina trailer park to someone who ran every wrestling fan's life and determined their happiness? Next time on This American Work, we go back to Havelock, North Carolina. Back to when Vince McMahon was Vince Lupton.
Now, what? What are you talking about, Vince Lupton?